Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Essay Update. And listen, if you've been checking your bank account every single day, wondering when that next payment is going to hit, you are not alone. Today is January 6th, and we've got some breaking information that could put real money in your pocket within the next few weeks. We're talking about new payment announcements, updated eligibility requirements that might surprise you, and a major development that just came through that affects millions of Americans. So, if you're on Social Security, SISDI, or you've been waiting to hear about any kind of economic relief, you need to stay with me until the end of this video because what I'm about to share could make a significant difference in your finances this month. Now, before we dive into all the details, I want you to do me a quick favor. If you're someone who relies on these updates to stay informed about your benefits, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We post daily updates here at Daily SSA Update because things change fast and you don't want to miss critical information that could affect your payments. All right, let's get right into it. So let's talk about what's actually happening right now with stimulus payments and benefit updates. I know there's been a lot of confusion out there, a lot of conflicting information floating around on social media, and people are understandably frustrated trying to figure out what's real and what's not. That's exactly why I'm here today, to cut through all the noise and give you the facts, based on official sources, and the latest announcements from the Social Security Administration and other government agencies. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room. Are there new stimulus checks coming in January 2025? Well, the answer is a bit more nuanced than a simple yes or no, and that's what we need to talk about in detail. As of right now, there is no federal stimulus check that's been approved by Congress for general distribution to all Americans, like we saw during the pandemic. However, and this is crucial, there are several specific payment programs and benefit increases that are actively rolling out right now that could mean money in your account. Let me break down exactly what's happening. The Social Security Administration has implemented the Annual Cost of Living Adjustment, also known as COLA, and this went into effect for January 2025. This year's COLA increase is significant, and if you're receiving Social Security retirement benefits, SSDI, or SI, you should be seeing this increase reflected in your payments. For Social Security and SDI recipients, those payments started going out on January 3rd. And for SI recipients, the payment actually went out on December 31st because January 1st was a holiday. Now, the COLA increase for 2025 is 2.5%, which means if you were getting, let's say, $1,500 a month, you're now looking at an additional $37.50 per month. I know that might not sound like a massive amount, but over the course of a year, that adds up to $450 extra in your pocket. But here's where things get really interesting, and this is something a lot of people don't realize. Depending on your state, there may be additional state-level stimulus payments or relief programs that are active right now. Several states have announced their own payment programs for 2025, particularly targeting seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income families. States like California, New York, Colorado, and Maine have either already distributed or are in the process of distributing additional relief payments. These aren't technically federal stimulus checks, but they function the same way, putting direct cash payments into the accounts of eligible residents. Now let's talk about eligibility, because this is where a lot of people get confused or think they don't qualify when they actually might. For the federal COLA increase, if you're currently receiving any form of Social Security benefits, you automatically qualify. You don't need to apply. You don't need to call anyone. It's automatic. The Social Security Administration calculates your new payment amount based on your current benefit and applies the percentage increase. However, for state-level payments, eligibility requirements vary significantly from state to state. Let me give you some specific examples so you can understand how this works. In California, there's been discussion about additional Golden State stimulus payments for low-income residents, and the eligibility there typically focuses on income thresholds and tax filing status. If you filed a California state tax return and your adjusted gross income was below certain limits, you might qualify. In Colorado, there have been cashback programs that provide payments to residents based on a combination of factors, including residency status, tax filing, and income levels. The key thing to understand is that these programs often have different application processes, different payment schedules, and different eligibility criteria. Now, here's something really important that affects a specific group of people, and if this applies to you, pay very close attention. If you're someone who receives SSI, Supplemental Security Income, there's been a major update regarding resource limits. For the longest time, the resource limit for SI recipients was just $2,000 for individuals and $3,000 for couples. This meant that if you had more than that amount in countable resources, like bank accounts, you could lose your SSI benefits. But as of January 2025, there have been discussions and some policy updates regarding these limits. Some states have increased their own supplemental payment amounts, and there's ongoing federal discussion about raising these resource limits or even eliminating them entirely. This is huge because it means people who previously didn't qualify for SSI due to having slightly too much in savings might now be eligible, or might become eligible if these proposed changes go through. Another major update that's affecting payments right now involves the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as SNAP or food stamps. Many states have recalculated SNAP benefits for 2025 based on updated income guidelines and cost of living adjustments. If you're receiving SNAP benefits, you might notice an increase in your monthly allotment. This isn't a stimulus check per se, but it's additional assistance that functions like extra money in your budget because it covers food costs that you would otherwise have to pay out of pocket. Let me also address something that I've seen causing a lot of confusion online. There are various websites and social media posts claiming that there's a $1,200 stimulus check or an $1,800 payment coming to everyone. I need to be very clear about this. As of today, January 6th, there is no such universal payment that's been approved or announced by any official government source. What's likely happening is that these claims are either misinterpreting state-level programs, mixing up information about past stimulus payments, or in some cases, unfortunately, spreading misinformation to get clicks and views. This is exactly why it's so important to get your information from reliable sources and channels like this one, where we verify everything before sharing it with you. But now, let's talk about what could be coming. And this is where things get really interesting. There are several pieces of legislation that are currently being discussed in Congress that could result in additional payments throughout 2025. One proposal that's gained some traction is the idea of a senior stimulus or a payment specifically targeted at Social Security recipients. The rationale behind this is that seniors and people with disabilities have been disproportionately affected by inflation over the past few years. And while the COLA adjustments help, some lawmakers argue that a one-time payment would provide additional relief. Now, I have to emphasize that this is still in the proposal stage. It hasn't been voted on, it hasn't been approved, and there's no guarantee it will happen. But it's something that's being seriously discussed, and if it does move forward, we'll be covering it here on the channel immediately. There's also discussion about potential tax rebates or credits that could function similarly to stimulus payments. Some proposals include expanding the Earned Income Tax Credit, increasing the Child Tax Credit, or creating new credits specifically for seniors or people with disabilities. If any of these proposals pass, they would likely be distributed through the tax system, which means you might receive them as a direct payment, or they might reduce what you owe if you file taxes, or increase your refund if you're already getting one. Now let's talk about timing, because I know that's what everyone really wants to know. When exactly will these payments hit your account? For the COLA-adjusted Social Security payments, those are already going out according to the regular Social Security payment schedule. If you receive your benefits on the 3rd of the month, you already got your January payment with the COLA increase. If you receive your payment based on your birth date, your payment comes on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday of the month. So if your birthday falls between the 1st and 10th of the month, your payment comes on the 2nd Wednesday. If it's between the 11th and 20th, you get paid on the third Wednesday, and if it's between the 21st and 31st, your payment comes on the fourth Wednesday. For state-level payments, the timing varies dramatically. Some states have already sent out their payments in late 2024. Others are processing payments right now in early January. And some programs won't distribute payments until later in the year. The best way to find out about your specific state's programs is to check your state's Department of Revenue website or their Social Services Department website. I know that's not the most exciting answer, but it's the reality of how these programs work. Here's something else you need to know about that could affect your payments. If you moved recently, or if your banking information has changed, you need to make sure the Social Security Administration has your current information. If they have an old address or old bank account information on file, your payment could be delayed or even returned. You can update your information by calling the Social Security Administration at their toll-free number, 1-800-772-1213, or you can do it online through your My Social Security account. If you don't already have a My Social Security account, I highly recommend setting one up. It's free, it's secure, and it gives you access to view your payment history, check your benefit amounts, update your information, and even request replacement documents like your Social Security card or benefit verification letter. Now let's talk about some common mistakes people make that could delay their payments or cause them to miss out on money they're entitled to. One of the biggest mistakes is not reporting changes in circumstances. If you're receiving SSI and your living situation changes, your income changes, or your resources change, you're required to report that to the Social Security Administration. Failing to do so can result in overpayments that you'll have to pay back, or it could cause your benefits to be suspended. Another common mistake is not filing taxes when you should. Even if your income is below the threshold where you're required to file, filing a tax return can actually make you eligible for certain credits and payments. The Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit, for example, are refundable credits, which means even if you don't owe any taxes, you can still receive money back. I also want to address something that affects veterans specifically. If you're a veteran receiving VA benefits, you might be eligible for additional payments or benefits that you're not currently receiving. The VA has various programs, including disability compensation, pension benefits, aid and attendance benefits, and special monthly compensation. Many veterans don't realize they qualify for these programs or don't know how to apply. If you're a veteran or the spouse or dependent of a veteran, I encourage you to look into what benefits you might be entitled to. The VA website has a Benefits Explorer tool that can help you figure out what you might qualify for. There's also been some discussion about student loan forgiveness and how that might function as economic relief for certain individuals. While this isn't a direct payment, if you have federal student loans and you qualify for certain forgiveness programs, it effectively puts money back in your budget by eliminating debt. The SAVE plan, which is the newest income-driven repayment plan, has provisions that could lead to forgiveness after as little as 10 years for some borrowers. And there are ongoing legal battles and policy discussions about broader student loan forgiveness that could affect millions of borrowers. Let me also touch on something that's particularly important for people who receive both Social Security and SI. If you're in this situation, you're considered a concurrent beneficiary, and your payments might be affected differently by COLA adjustments and other factors. Typically, if you receive both types of benefits, your Social Security payment gets the COLA increase, and your SI payment is calculated based on the federal benefit rate minus your other countable income, which includes your Social Security. This means your SI payment might actually decrease slightly if your Social Security payment increases, but your total combined income should still go up. Another thing I want to make sure you're aware of is the importance of protecting yourself from scams. Unfortunately, whenever there's news about stimulus payments or benefit increases, scammers come out in full force. They'll call, text, or email, claiming to be from the Social Security Administration or the IRS, saying you need to verify your information to receive your payment, or claiming you need to pay a fee to process your stimulus check. Let me be absolutely clear about this. The Social Security Administration will never call you and ask for your Social Security number. They will never ask you to pay a fee to receive your benefits. They will never threaten you with arrest or legal action if you don't provide information immediately. If you receive any communication like this, do not provide any personal information. Hang up the phone, delete the email, or ignore the text. If you're concerned that the communication might be legitimate, call the Social Security Administration directly at their official number to verify. Now let's talk about what you can do right now to make sure you're getting every dollar you're entitled to. First, make sure all your information is up to date with the Social Security Administration. Log into your My Social Security account or call them to verify they have your current address, current phone number, and current direct deposit information. Second, review your benefit amounts and make sure they're correct. If you think there's been an error in your payment calculation, you have the right to appeal and request a review. Third, check whether you qualify for any state-level programs. Even if you don't qualify for federal benefits or payments, you might qualify for state assistance. Fourth, if you're not currently receiving benefits but think you might be eligible, apply. Many people who qualify for Social Security disability benefits or SI never apply because they think they won't qualify or because the process seems too complicated. Yes, the application process can be challenging, but if you're eligible, these benefits can be life-changing. I also want to talk about representative payees, because this is something that affects a significant number of benefit recipients. If you have a representative payee managing your Social Security benefits, they're responsible for making sure your payments are used for your current needs, and they're required to report to the Social Security Administration about how your money is being used. If you have concerns about how your representative payee is managing your benefits, you have the right to request a change. And if you're a representative payee for someone else, make sure you understand your responsibilities and obligations, because failing to properly manage someone's benefits can result in serious consequences. Let me also address what happens if you receive an overpayment notice from the Social Security Administration. This can be scary, and I understand why. An overpayment means the Social Security Administration has determined they paid you more than you were entitled to receive, and they're now asking for that money back. But here's what you need to know. You have rights when it comes to overpayments. You can appeal the overpayment decision if you believe it's incorrect. You can request a waiver if you can show that you weren't at fault for the overpayment, and that repaying it would cause you financial hardship. And even if the overpayment stands and you're required to repay it, you can often arrange a repayment plan that works with your budget rather than having to pay it all back at once. There's also been some updates regarding Medicare premiums and how they affect Social Security payments. If you receive Social Security benefits and you have Medicare Part B, your premium is typically automatically deducted from your Social Security payment. For 2025, the standard Medicare Part B premium increased to $185 per month. If you're on a lower income, you might qualify for programs that help pay your Medicare premiums, including the Medicare Savings Programs. These programs are administered by your state, and they can pay some or all of your Medicare costs if you meet the income and resource requirements. This is money that stays in your pocket rather than going to pay premiums, so it's absolutely worth looking into if you're struggling with healthcare costs. Now, I want to address something about taxes, because this catches a lot of people off guard. Depending on your total income, your Social Security benefits might be subject to federal income tax. If your combined income, which includes your adjusted gross income, your non-taxable interest, and half of your Social Security benefits, exceeds certain thresholds, up to 85% of your benefits could be taxable. The thresholds are $25,000 for individuals and $32,000 for married couples filing jointly. Now, before you panic, this doesn't mean you'll pay taxes on your entire benefit amount. And depending on your overall tax situation, you might not owe anything at all. But it's something to be aware of, especially if you have other sources of income in addition to your Social Security. I want to give you some resources that can help you navigate all of this. The Social Security Administration's website at ssa.gov is your primary official source for information about Social Security benefits. They have calculators that can help you estimate your benefits. They have detailed explanations of different programs, and they have online services that let you manage your account. For Medicare information, Medicare.gov is the official source. For state-specific programs, check your state government's website, usually under departments like Revenue, Social Services, or Health and Human Services. And if you need help understanding your benefits or navigating the system, many communities have local organizations that provide free counseling and assistance. You can find local Social Security Administration offices, senior centers, disability rights organizations, and legal aid societies that can help. Let me wrap things up here with some final thoughts and what you should be watching for in the coming weeks and months. The bottom line is this. While there isn't a brand new universal stimulus check hitting everyone's accounts right now, there are multiple streams of assistance and benefit increases that are actively being distributed. If you're receiving Social Security, you should have already seen your COLA increase. If you're in a state with additional payment programs, check your state's specific announcements and deadlines. Keep an eye on legislative developments because there are proposals being discussed that could result in additional payments later this year. Make sure all your information is up to date with relevant agencies. Protect yourself from scams by never providing personal information to unsolicited callers or emails. And explore all the programs you might be eligible for because there might be benefits you're entitled to that you're not currently receiving. Here's what I need you to do. If this information was helpful to you, hit that like button. Share this video with anyone you know who receives Social Security, SSII, or SSDI because they need this information too. And most importantly, subscribe to Daily SAA Update and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Things change fast with benefit programs and payment schedules. And we're here every single day bringing you the latest verified information. Drop a comment below and let me know your situation. Are you seeing the COLA increase in your payment? Have you received any state-level payments? What questions do you have that I can address in future videos? I read every comment, and I use your feedback to create content that actually helps you. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I know navigating the world of government benefits can be overwhelming and frustrating, but you're not alone in this. We're building a community here of people who support each other and share accurate information. I'll be back tomorrow with another update, so make sure you're subscribed. Until then, take care of yourself, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.